It's a very good evening to you all and welcome to tonight's Sunday edition. My name is Natasha Burnett.
And I'm Tari Manamike with Peaceway Jomunika at our sign language desk. We'll also have Marilyn Gwenya at our Montrose studios. But for now, let's take a look at the leading headlines tonight.
Zimbabwe suspends all tariffs on goods imported from the USA.
An artist in Victoria Falls transforming snare wires into exquisite pieces of jewelry. We explore the latest initiative in our This and That feature.
Water purification cutting-edge technology by a Midland State University student in our Science and Tech feature.
And in our sports buzz, Ngezi Platinum Stars reclaim PSL top sport. Now, those were our leading headlines. We now give you the news in detail.
Zimbabwe has suspended all tariffs on goods imported from the United States to encourage increased American imports into the country. The announcement was made by President Emmerson Mnangagwa on his X handle this Saturday.
President Emmerson Mnangagwa has announced that the suspension of all tariffs on goods imported from the United States, aiming to foster a positive and a mutually beneficial relationship between the two nations. This move comes in response to recent tariffs imposed by the Donald Trump administration on goods from various countries. In a statement on X, President Mnangagwa explained that the decision is designed to boost trade with the U.S., enhance industrial productivity, and demonstrate a commitment to expanding trade opportunities. The announcement highlights Zimbabwe's focus on equitable trade and strengthened bilateral cooperation, signaling a desire to enhance ties with the U.S. under President Trump's leadership. This decision comes as Zimbabwe continues its efforts to dominate strategic markets globally. The announcement is also in line with Zimbabwe's ongoing engagement and re-engagement strategy aimed at deepening relations with economies worldwide. It is expected that President Mnangagwa's move will set the stage for positive economic diplomacy under the Second Republic. Stanley James, ZBC News, Harare.
Analysts agree that President Emmerson Mnangagwa's giant step to remove tariffs on U.S. imports amid a raging global trade war marks an important step in advancing the government's economic diplomacy policy.
U.S. President Donald Trump's move to impose tariffs on many countries, including Zimbabwe, has sparked global protests as economists warn of an economic Armageddon that has wiped out billions in value on major global stock exchanges. President Emmerson Mnangagwa's move not to retaliate but instead remove tariffs on all U.S. imports has been described as a diplomatic masterstroke, especially at a time when Zimbabwe is pursuing and entrenching its economic diplomacy policy thrust.
The initiative by the President of Zimbabwe, Comrade Emmerson Mnangagwa, is a very good move in the sense that this will create opportunities for the Zimbabwe business people where they will export as much as possible. At the same time, the business people in America, they will then try to increase their footprint of their products into the Zimbabwean market. And I think the Zimbabwean business people should take an initiative to create meaningful relations with the American business people.
Economic analyst Dr. Prosper Chitambara says though trade volumes between Zimbabwe and the U.S. is at less than 2%, this represents a rare opportunity to harness trade with the world's biggest economy.
This is a very game-changing strategic move by the government, by the president, which is also in line with the mantra of Zimbabwe is open for business, trade business with everyone, and also in line with being an enemy to none. So I think it goes a long way in terms of strengthening relations with the U.S. government, with the U.S., not just trade relations, but also even at political level.
The move by President Emmerson Mnangagwa is expected to further set the tone for a positive economic diplomacy being pursued by the Second Republic. Owen Mandova, ZBC News, Harare.
The government is planning on reviewing the legislative framework to combat smuggling and tax evasion. It intends on imposing stricter and more prohibitive penalties.
Government is taking a tough stance to curtail the influx of smuggled goods into the domestic market to protect local industry from unfair competition, with authorities considering imposing stiffer penalties on those who will be caught on the wrong side of the law. This was revealed by the Permanent Secretary for Presidential Affairs and Devolution in the Office of the President and Cabinet Engineer Tafatswa Muguti in an interview with the ZBC News.
The raids will continue, the inspections at all border posts will continue, the arrests will continue, and we're now going to be also looking into the legislative agenda to ensure that smuggling is one of the greatest crimes of tax evasion in this country, which becomes, if it's in America, it's a federal law. If it's here, it's a national law that we'll put in place so that people who are smugglers actually see jail time. We need to protect the economy, we need to protect our currency, and we need to protect Zimbabwean jobs.
Engineer Muguti also said the government's efforts to curb smuggling are bearing fruit.
For the first time in as much as 10 years, we did not see a leap of the currency on the black market, neither did we see any changes. We actually saw stability of both the black market and the formal market right into January and February, and we've been stable since. One of the reasons why we were so strong on the anti-smuggling is that we need to start promoting our local industries. We cannot afford to sabotage our local industries, like what we had seen in Manicaland, where people were now smuggling in Coca-Cola from Mozambique.
The establishment of an anti-smuggling task force and awareness campaigns are among the measures put in place by the government to protect the local industry. Peter Chivima, ZBC News, Harare.
The government has slammed economist Eddie Cross for making defamatory statements against the First Family.
The government's response comes after economist Eddie Cross appeared on a South African television station where he raised serious corruption allegations against the First Family. Cross has since admitted that he has no evidence for all his claims. However, government is not taking Cross defamatory utterances lightly. The Minister of Information, Publicity and Broadcasting Services, Dr. Jen Van Muskwere, said, inasmuch as government is waging a strong fight against corruption, it does not condone such diabolical falsehoods meant to soil the reputation of Zimbabwean leaders and propagate an imperialist agenda.
Eddie Cross must carry his cross for spreading defamatory diabolical falsehoods. He is an unrepentant person with imperialist residue. The government of Zimbabwe has zero tolerance to corruption, and a lot of success has been registered in the fight against corruption. The excitable two-faced charlatan has been masquerading as a fountain of knowledge in every subject. The moment he is in the presence of business and cameras, the Rhodesian chameleon character starts to manifest. While is to embrace all ideas in nation building from every Zimbabwean, who have taken interest in his chameleon character and his colonial residue, as he believes that no Zimbabwean can succeed without his assistance.
Cross has since retracted his statements and apologized to the First Family. Wellington Makonese, ZBC News, Harare.
The construction of the Emerson Mnangagwa Midland State University campus in Kwekwe is progressing steadily as part of the university's multi-campus strategy, which aims to provide modern infrastructure to support enhanced education.
Progress continues on the construction of the MSU multi-campus facility in Kwekwe, which will host 3 faculties, including the Emerson Mnangagwa Law School, as the Second Republic accelerates efforts to modernize infrastructure while advancing Education 5.0. This development aligns with the government's commitment to ensure no region is left behind in the pursuit of national development.
Other infrastructure in terms of campuses, like the campus where we are now, the Kwekwe Idi Mnangagwa, to be named Idi Mnangagwa campus in honor of His Excellency. We are going to have 3 faculties located at this campus. It's on 229 hectares, and it's a campus which we know is going to give a boost to the local economy of Kwekwe and the Midlands, as well as at the national level. We are going to have the Idi Mnangagwa Law School as a faculty, and we are going to have the Faculty of Built Environment, Art and Design, and we are also going to have the Faculty of Agriculture, Environment and Natural Resources Management located on this site. That again enables us to be able to offer. And there are research services and other things that are already taking place on this site, in terms of the agro industries.
As part of the engineering workmanship, students have been integrated into the project to gain practical work experience.
Kuita inonzi fabrication of trusses kana kugadzira ma trusses kurufa imba kana kurufa structure. Saka ma trusses acho aya anoitwa after calculations. Vana vanotanga kucalculate nokuziva kuti strength of materials that is needed ipapo yakakura zvakadini. Saka vana vedu takatanga nayo, it was last year in September, ndo patakatanga kugadzira matrusses edu ndokubva tamaturika pamusoro apo. Saka from September up to maybe end of May, June tinenge tapedza kurufa matrusses edu. Saka tiri chokwadi chokuti vana vedu panobva pano vanenge vari industrial exposure yakasimba.
Going beyond theory has been the hallmark of the government's agenda for education.
My ministry has allocated specific budget lines in 2025 for work for fees programs, assertive devices, research, innovation and development programs. We hope this will enable MSU to increase its work for fees beneficiaries and also to cater for students with disabilities and strengthen its innovative research output.
These developments provide a significant boost to the country's tertiary education sector, which is advancing rapidly through the heritage-based curriculum to ensure that solutions to industrial challenges emerge from local brains. Wellington Makonese, ZBC News.
As Zimbabwe celebrates 45 years of independence on the 18th of April, the country's banking sector also celebrates huge milestones driven by a robust financial system dominated by locally owned banks.
Before independence, the banking system was mainly tailor-made for the white minority in terms of the provision of loans and access to services. It was dominated mainly by two multinational banks whose terms and conditions only suited the white minority. However, government interventions since 1980 are yielding results as evidenced by the rise in bank account holders across the country, digital financial services, dominance over domestic-owned banks, financial inclusion, and a roadmap to reduce bank charges while offering better returns to savings.
In 1980, we've gone through the development of the banking sector has been episodic, and episodes have been detected by the dynamics in terms of the economy, what has been happening. Now, if you look at the first 5 years, we had very few banking sectors. Then there was an era where we had banking sectors where we were not adequately capitalized, resulting in some banks folding up. We took our lessons from that. And since then, there have been concerted efforts to recapitalize all banks. And that recapitalization has brought in confidence.
About 12-13% of economic activity in the country is manufacturing. About almost 15% of economic activity in the country is agriculture. But the beauty about both agriculture and manufacturing is they employ a large number of people. So the biggest employer, if you look at it, is agriculture. Not just commercial agriculture, but we are all aware that even when it comes to subsistence agriculture, it gives our people a lot to do.
Another key highlight of the huge strides on Zimbabwe's banking sector is that there has not been any bank failure or collapsed bank in the past 10 years. In line with the government aspirations of leaving no one and no place behind, authorities are focusing on measures to widen access to the banking services by the youth, women, and marginalized communities. Through these initiatives, the AFC Financial Holdings was unbundled and rebranded in 2019 into 4 separate business units to strategically support the country's agricultural sector, which has been identified as a backbone of the country's economic development. The leasing unit has provided the majority of small-scale farmers with the much-needed implements such as tractors and combine harvesters at affordable rates, while the main commercial bank has availed agricultural funding which had been lacking under the previous structure, with the aim of making Zimbabwe self-sufficient in food security since the country attained independence. Government also established the Women's Bank mainly to support women-owned businesses who have been largely excluded from participating in the mainstream economy. Established in 2019, the bank has transformed many women-owned enterprises, especially in the SMEs sector, with the much-needed start-up and working capital, and continues to make inroads in rural communities, anchoring government's mantra of leaving no one and no place behind. The Youth Empower Bank was established targeting youth entrepreneurs in different sectors of the economy and has made a positive impact in supporting the Second Republic's economic development trajectory. Stanley James, ZBC News, Harare.
We now cross over to our Montrose studio where Marilyn Gwenya is on standby with more news from that end. Good evening, Marilyn. Over to you.
Good evening and many thanks to you, Natasha and Tariro. In our following report, government is championing the cultivation of sunflower through the Formvuza Intwasa program in an effort to boost the country's oilseed production and enhance food security.
With the country's import bill for crude oil exceeding $200 million United States dollars, the government is working on strategies to reduce the bill and increase local production. In a recent interview with ZBC News during a field visit to Umguza, the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Lands, Agriculture, Fisheries, Water and Rural Development, Professor Obejiri, urged farmers to capitalize on sunflower production to strengthen the country's oilseed security.
We emphasize on food security as well as oilseed security and feed security. So what we encourage our Formvuza Intwasa farmers to plant is of course the amawele and then sunflower, the cowpea or African peas and the like. Most importantly for sunflower, it is a crop that is supposed to give the farmers self-sufficiency in terms of oilseeds. Every household uses cooking oil. Yet as a country we import over $240 million US dollars worth of crude oil, which is just basically crushed sunflower, sunflower seed.
To promote basic value addition, Professor Jiri also implored farmers to crush and express sunflower at local level.
And if we can encourage our farmers to grow their sunflower and crush it at local level, this will cut the import bill in a big way. And this can be done at the household level, the small oil expressing machines that can do one bucket of sunflower seed, and that will impact a lot in terms of the consumption of cooking oil at household level.
Sunflower production is one of the focus areas under the Formvuza Intwasa program, which has seen the government providing inputs to equip farmers. Lisa Masuku, Kurira, ZBC News, Bulawayo.
Government remains committed to support the ethanol production sector as part of initiatives to ensure it delivers positive results. This was highlighted during the Parliamentary Portfolio Committee on Energy and Power's visit to the Triangle Ethanol Plant this Saturday.
The Parliamentary Portfolio Committee, which is touring several electricity generating players across the country, was in Triangle this Saturday, where it engaged with an ethanol producing firm Tonga Teulat, Zimbabwe. The importance of ethanol blending, which includes reducing pollution by emission, was brought to the fore during the engagement, with the producers being challenged to remain compliant with national regulations.
That ethanol plant has got a nameplate capacity of 40 million litres. Running close to 48 weeks in a year. The ethanol plant was commissioned in 1980 by the former president of the Republic of Zimbabwe. He was then Prime Minister then when he commissioned the ethanol plant. It's still operational, very sound condition.
Our expectation as a regulator is that Tongaat complies with all relevant legislation. I also want to applaud Tongaat because there are some audits that we carry that they've got a lot of management systems that then give assurance in terms of those aspects.
The Parliamentary Portfolio Committee's visit underscores government's commitment to supporting the ethanol production industry, which aligns with the biofuels policy of 2019.
The idea for the committee is to understand the process, appreciate how we're getting ethanol, how can we grow it so that we are probably able to maintain our blending at about 20%. Currently, it is fluctuating because of the supply of cane. We want to find a way to at least achieve our 20%.
Currently, Green Fuel in Chisumbanje and Tongaat Yulet Zimbabwe in Chiredzi are the two firms producing ethanol in the country. Gaima Tambo, ZBC News, Triangle.
The ruling ZANU-PF party is fulfilling its promises to support the vulnerable members of the community, with hundreds of people in Mutare Central constituency benefiting from food relief and empowerment programs.
Vulnerable members of the community from Mutare's Central 13 wards this Saturday received rice, flour and chicks sourced by local legislators from the ruling party as the revolutionary movement walks the talk on its promise to empower and support vulnerable communities.
Tinoda kutenda President Idi Mnangagwa na mai Auxilia Mnangagwa nekuti nguwa yekurangarirwa kwedu isu vakaremara yanga ichoma chaizvo, asi nekuti funga kwavo nekutumira ma-MP edu kuti vauye.
Tinoda kutenda tapiwa huku dzekuti tinotangawo project sevanhu vakaremara, tapiwa flower yekuti tinotangawo project yedu yekubika chingwa nemabhanzi sevanhu vane madisability. Sezvo mandura yedu ichiti akaremara zvimiririre, zvitsaurire, zvishandire, saka takuenda kunoshanda.
Tiri kutenda ma-MP edu nekubatsira kwaari kuita vanhu muno kumawadzi kwedu kwese kuno, ende dai zvikaramba zvakadaro
tinozvitenda tichizvikudza izvozvo. Tinongoti Mwari dai vabatsira President Emerson Dambudzo Mnangagwa vavakomborera vachiwedzera pawatapudza.
The ZANU-PF local leadership spoke on the donation of rice from President Mnangagwa and other food items to start income generation projects.
Tinoda kutenda our senator Comrade Irene Zindi and our member of parliament muarea medu Comrade Geti Mutadi nekuuya kubek kuvanhu kuzoripota bek kuunzira zvinhu kuvanhu. Tiri pakati pekuti tiri kukohwa nepakati rekuti tiri kubva kunzara. Tati vanhu vachikohwa chikafu chavo ngavawanewo karaisi, ngavawane flour, ngavawane huku nechikafu chehuku zvese.
Tauya pano nhasi kusakubva Central constituency tichigovera rice rakabva kuna president vedu President Emerson Dambudzo Mnangagwa. President vedu vanoda kuti mhuri yavo dzisafa nenzara. Program yedu yatinayo zuva ranhasi tauya kuzozadzikisa zvatakatumwa na His Excellency the President vaMnangagwa kuti you are my food soldiers. Itai make sure kuti raisiri rashika to the vulnerable.
Meanwhile, the First Lady Dr. Auxilia Mnangagwa has been leading the charge in supporting vulnerable members of the community, with the current support programs further complementing her efforts.
ZANU-PF affiliate Miners for ED held its annual National Chairman's Conference in Kadoma, where a call was made for artisanal and small-scale miners to formalize their operations.
The annual National Chairman's Conference highlighted the urgent need for the formalization of mining activities. A key focus of the discussions was the call for the sector to embrace its role in nation building.
Tinomeka sure kuti tanzwisisa nekuziva zviri kuaffecta maminers background zvinoita kuti kana zvikaadresewa vanonyanyisa kuda nekunyanyisa muungano weZANU-PF.
The National Chairman's Conference was held on the back of several developmental projects initiated by the outfit that include the construction of an orphanage and a community hall, among other interventions.
Mnangagwa vanokurudzira kuti cherai makasununguka semaZimbabweans. So pakuchera kwatiri kuita pane zvatiri kuona, tiri kuona kuti no Mwari vari kupindira kuburikidza ne-Second Republic yavaMnangagwa vachidzidzisa kuti ngaticherei tite mari kana isatawo mari taakurangarira kuti tofanira kuita plow back to the community.
Officiating at the event, Minister of State for Mashonaland West Provincial Affairs and Devolution, Honorable Marian Chombo, reassured government support to the sector.
Zvivakwa zvamuri kuita orphanage zviri pano kuti zvibatsire vana nherera mudunhu medu, mucherechedzo wakajeka wekuti masangano akazvimirira ari kushandawo achitsigira zvizere budiriro nekubatsira voruzhinji. Minus for ED icharamba iri chikamu chakakosha chekutsigira kusimudzira magariro neupfumi hwenyika kusvika pakuzadziswa kwevision 2030.
Artisanal and small-scale miners currently contribute around 65% of the country's gold output. Tamuka Charakupa, ZBC News, Kadoma.
Former Manicaland ZANU-PF Provincial Vice Chairperson, Comrade Dorothy Mabika, has been elected as the new Women's League Chairperson during an election held at the party's offices in Mutare this Sunday.
Comrade Mabika secured a resounding victory over Comrade Messi Sako, who was the acting chairperson. The ruling party's Central Committee member, Comrade Chimuso, who presided over the elections, commended the electorate for their behavior.
Madzimai aita kuoption yavo pasina kukakavadzana kana kunetsana. Results abuda pabuda 29 panadoli kana kuti Dorothy Mabika pabuda 29 pana Messi kana kuti Maisako pabuda 1.
The position fell vacant following the suspension of Happiness Nyakuyedzwa last year by the ruling party's highest decision-making body, the Politburo.
This April, we commemorate Independence Month. We celebrate heroes of our country who sacrificed their lives to liberate Zimbabwe. In our I'm in African feature for tonight, we draw attention to the life of the late national hero, Brigadier General Charles Gumbo, who died in 1999.
Brigadier General Charles Gumbo was the first serving soldier to be declared national hero when he died in Harare on 23 April 1999. His bravery and prowess at the battlefront epitomized Gumbo as a professional soldier, with the then Vice President Simon Vengai Muzenda describing him as an outstanding military man in all command functions and procedures across a broad spectrum of arms, corps and services. Born in Gutu on February 16, 1954, as the 10th child in a family of 8 boys and 6 girls, Comrade Gumbo went to Mundondo School for primary education from 1960 to 1967. After completing all levels at Lower Gweru Secondary School in 1971, he trained and qualified as a boilermaker. However, he barely utilized his acquired skill because in 1975 he escaped into Mozambique to fight in the liberation struggle. Comrade Gumbo was trained as a guerrilla at Tembwe and adopted Charles Tigwe as his Chimurenga name. For 3 years since deployment in 1976 until the ceasefire in 1979, Gumbo operated in Chiredzi, Mberengwa, Chivi districts, rising to become a detachment commander. One of his main tasks was to guide freshly trained fighters from Mozambique into the country through the inhospitable Gonarejo National Park. At independence in 1980, he was attested into the Zimbabwe National Army and carried immense responsibilities of fostering unity among former foes. During the civil war in Mozambique in the 1980s, Gumbo distinguished himself as a brilliant strategist and was involved in the recapture of many towns from enemy control. Following successful peace talks that resolved the Mozambican conflict and led to a ceasefire, Brigadier General Gumbo stayed in that country as a member of the Truth Joint Verification Commission. In 1998, the government of the Democratic Republic of Congo, DRC, under threat of being overrun by rebels, turned to fellow SADC partners for military assistance. Zimbabwe obliged, and with Gumbo as the SADC Task Force Operations Director, successfully repelling the rebel advance. At the end of his tour of duty, Comrade Gumbo was appointed Brigadier General Staff Army Headquarters. As the country commemorates Independence Day on the 18th of April, Zimbabweans are paying homage to such gallant fighters and emulate their selfless spirit for the good of the country. This year's celebrations will be held in Gokwe North under the theme Zim 845 Devolve and Develop Together towards Vision 2030.
And that's it for myself, Marilyn Gwenya, and the Montrose crew for tonight. Sunday edition is off to a break. We will be back with Natasha and Tariro from our Pocket Cell studios in Harare.
My boys. In the holidays, they sometimes spend their whole day playing soccer. They are my angels. I don't know why people in this area are always telling lies about them. But no matter what happens, I will always be there for them. That's what mums are for. New Aura Beauty Soap. For skin that glows. From the House of Zimgold.
Welcome back, and thank you so much for staying with us. In a remarkable initiative aimed at combating wildlife poaching, artists in Victoria Falls are transforming deadly snare wires into exquisite pieces of jewelry. Teacher Wana Kurewa explores the latest initiative in our This and That feature tonight. Let's get more.
A visit to Dibutibu village in Chisuma, Victoria Falls, leaves one in awe as people in the area are on an unimaginable mission. They have become unsung heroes of the anti-poaching initiative as they turn snare wire into stunning pieces of earrings, bangles, necklaces and fashion rings.
Mawada swathola kuma national parks abefakwe ngamapoacheka ukuthi inyamazana. So thina singawathola from ama anti-poaching unit siyawagoqa ebenje, so singawagoqa siyawachisa lapha sisebenza thwa imvutha ngesindebele. Then singawachisa ireason ukuthi why siwachisa sebesenzela ukuthi kube easy ukuthi sisebenze ngawo. Amanye angikhona aqinile, then amanye angikhona amanye abelele ras ukuthi ngakwanisa aqhamuka, but ungawachisa akwanisa ukusebenzeka kuhle. Then siqeda khonapho siyawakhupha emvuthweni ethu laba swamele laphole. Then engaphola sesiwaganda abe flat, kuya dependa ukuthi senzani. Nxa sisenza ama components for ama necklaces siyawaganda abe flat njengalawa.
Anti-poaching units remove over 200 kgs of snare wire a year from national parks around Victoria Falls. However, since 2022, a local organization, Mopane, has been on a mission to reshape these people's lives through an initiative to turn the snare wire into beautiful jewelry. This project goes beyond recycling. It is about skills development, employment, and self-sufficiency within the community.
Kuyasinceda kakhulu lezi muli kuyakwanisa ukusisiza ngoba yabongela lapho ngaqalisela khona, but sesiqalisile ukwenza lokho yonke into nje yabisilule empilweni
ngathi ngisazi ukukhanda imkhonto ingqama amahloka azancela amakhuba kodwa lapha eJafuta basebenzisa amabhenzi umkhiwa wathi hayi no lokho kwamahloka uqeda ihlahla ngwe-anti-poaching lapha sixotsha ngale umsebenzi we-anti-poaching esingawufuniyo yikho lami ngase ngikuthabela kakhulu.
Project implementers are focused on empowering young people, providing alternatives to poaching and fostering community development.
We want to keep the youth of this area here because for rural development, we want them to be able to live here, not leave the country for other jobs or for income and that. But for rural development, we are hoping that they will be able to take this a step further, own the business. We don't want to be the owners of the business. So we're hoping that they'll build themselves up to a group of artists and jeweler makers.
The Snare Wire Jewelry Initiative is a testament to the creativity and the resilience of local communities around Victoria Falls. Tichao Nakurewa, ZBC News, Victoria Falls.
Water purification has received cutting-edge enhancement thanks to a groundbreaking innovation from a Midlands State University student. The project involves the transformation of scrap metal into essential chemical compounds vital for water treatment. This and more in our science and technology feature.
Water treatment remains a challenge in many areas, primarily due to high operational costs of treatment equipment and chemicals in the absence of localized remedies. However, an industrial chemistry student at MSU has developed a pioneering reactor system capable of synthesizing ferric and ferrous sulfide from scrap metal through a reactor system, potentially revolutionizing the industry. But how does this innovative reactor system transform waste metal into a valuable resource?
What I've done with it is that I've proved a concept that allows for the recycling of scrap metal or scrap iron and turning it into valuable or vital resources for water treatment, which are known as ferric and ferrous sulfide production. So on the notion of this project, my agenda is for water treatment and iron tablet production, particularly for pregnant women. Pregnant women they suffer from lack of iron. So what this project addresses is that it produces these chemicals at a very cheap cost to mitigate the production of these iron tablets for the whole nation of Zimbabwe, mainly the pregnant women and people who suffer from iron deficiency.
The project, designed with health and environmental considerations in mind, has already demonstrated laboratory efficacy and is now transitioning toward commercial viability.
The project, I've already proved it in the lab. The product, I have it. It's proven to be functional and pure. So when we have these reactors, commercialization starts. We produce at a larger scale. Then from that production, we move up to the partnering part. I've already collaborated with Zim Pharmaceuticals, where they're offering the staff or even the manpower to help me upscale this project.
MSU's research department is actively supporting the initiative, expanding an electronic purification unit in tandem with the project, viewing it as a precursor to broader water treatment innovations.
What we have here is an electronic unit which is responsible for the production of chlorine-related products for water treatment. So what we are doing here is we are trying to produce our own chemicals for water treatment. The advantage of this, it uses very simple raw materials such as your sodium chloride, which is your salt. So basically you are taking your salt, you pass it through the system, and then you have your chlorine that will then be used in the final step for water treatment. So our primary aim is to have a startup company that will be responsible for the production of these units that will then sell to all these municipalities or households or even companies or industries that needs to treat their water.
With innovation at its core, Zimbabwe's heritage-based Education 5.0 framework continues to demonstrate the transformative potential of scientific ingenuity in tackling water security challenges, an essential step towards sustainable industrial advancement. Wellington Makonese, ZBC News.
Government has assured foreign investors that it will protect and safeguard property rights in fast-growing property industry, which is attracting international brands.
Zimbabwe's booming property industry is attracting global brands, with the foreign investors capitalizing on the conducive operating environment being promoted by the Second Republic. Government has assured investors, including a new player in the property industry, Chas Everett International Property Group, which recently launched in Harare. Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Justice, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs, Mrs. Vimbai Nyemba, who was representing Minister Ziyambi as the guest of honor, reaffirmed the government's commitment to protecting property rights.
The real estate sector operates in a complex of interconnected environment. It intersects with various economic pillars, including finance, construction, legal services, and governance. This interdependence underscores the necessity of public-private partnerships in unlocking Zimbabwe's real estate potential. Our ministry remains committed to fostering strategic collaboration that bridge infrastructure gaps and drive sustainable real estate development.
The company's executive director, Mr. Trevor Jagachira, expressed the confidence in operating in the property sector due to increasing bountiful opportunities. The property industry has witnessed the significant growth over the years, transforming major cities across the country. Owen Mandova, ZBC News, Harare.
And with that, we take a break, but when we come back, we'll be giving you the latest on sport. Stay tuned.
Zimbabwe, a land of immense natural beauty.
Stuck on you. Ooh, obsessed with you. I'm obsessed.
With Showmax, your favorite characters now follow you anywhere. Download it today and watch the best in local, international, and everything in between.
Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. We now give you the update, the latest in the world of sport, where Ngezi Platinum Stars have reclaimed the top spot in the Castle Lager Premier Soccer League after edging fading Harare Giants Caps United by 2-1 at Rufaro Stadium this Sunday. And we get the details in the upcoming report.
Ngezi Platinum Stars' sublime form continued this Sunday as the 2023 champions inflicted further misery to Caps United at Rufaro Stadium. The Harare Giants, who had already lost 2 matches prior to the Matchday 5 encounter, played second best to Ngezi as Richard Achiro and company controlled the middle of the park to oust the Green Machine. The Green Machine defenders had to resort to the offside trap to trick lethal striker Obrio Chirinda, a tactic that worked until the 41st minute, as the striker showcased his class to give Ngezi the advantage before the break. Caps United came back rejuvenated after the break, with Phineas Bamusi and Junior Bunjira making crucial runs on the wing, but their crosses found no takers. The pressure from the worst finally paid off after Gomez Gani Chirwa beat his own goalkeeper from an Eric Manokore's well-taken free kick. The match was far from being decided as youngster Ashwin Karengesha had a moment of brilliance as he rifled one into the top corner to settle the match with 18 minutes left on the clock. With all the drama at Rufaro Stadium, Highlanders handed Triangle their first point of the season after a 1-0 draw at Kibo Stadium. Back at their usual home following the conclusion of renovations, the Wasps scored first to the delight of the home crowd that had missed their team. Highlanders did find redemption early into the second half as Nevarauji's good run on the right flank located Mason Mushore, who slotted in to make it 1-0. Boso put in a show after the goal, but it was too late to get a result as Matchday 5 in the PSL came to a thrilling conclusion. Reynaud Ngwarati, ZBC News.
Zimbabwe Football Association President Nqobile Magwizi has commended the corporate sector for partnering communities in sports infrastructure development following the completion of refurbishment works at Gibo Stadium in Chiredzi.
Following the completion of renovation works at Gibo Stadium by Tonga Hewlett Zimbabwe, ZIFA President Nqobile Magwizi toured the stadium this Sunday and noted the importance of football infrastructure development initiatives in growing the country's sports industry.
Very, very impressive work that has been done by Triangle. And this is what we speak to when we are looking at building strong partnerships with the corporate sector. Where they come in and commit resources to building infrastructure that helps the community. You can already see that this whole community in Triangle as well as in Chiredzi is vibrant due to the work they are doing. We have 5 pillars that we are advancing as an executive committee of ZIFA, and one is building strong partnerships, the other one is on infrastructure and technology. They've already done 2 of them. We have a strong partnership with them, as well as they've already put in resources into the refurbishments of the stadia as we had recommended to meet the standards as required by CAF and FIFA.
Triangle United Football Club chairperson Weston Jemwa gave an update on the renovation works done at Gibo Stadium.
This particular project, we had to include dressing rooms for the females. There was no media room, there was no doping room, there was no medical room. Our dressing rooms were too small, so we had to increase them. So those are some of the things that we had to basically look at in this particular new project so that we meet the required standards.
The completion of the renovation works at Gibo Stadium will now see Triangle United Football Club being able to resume hosting PSL matches at their own backyard. Gay Matambo, ZBC News, Triangle.
The Zimbabwe under-23 baseball team is eyeing a good showing at the World Baseball and Softball Regional Qualifier after intensifying preparations for the regional showpiece slated for May at a venue yet to be announced.
With a keen eye on making it to the under-23 World Baseball Softball Cup, Team Zimbabwe have put in motion preparations to pass the first tape towards a dream qualification. However, the authorities have lamented the sport's poor infrastructure in the country. The team is strengthening its preparations ahead of a regional challenge against top teams like South Africa and Zambia, aiming to secure a spot in the African Championships, which will also serve as the final World Cup qualifier. The team is optimistic of putting on a good show.
This is my first qualification tournament, and as Zimbabwe, it's a very, very good tournament. And we are preparing very, very good. And I am hoping that we are going to qualify.
This is our second camp. We have been doing team building practices. We've got yesterday we went out for a game night. As a team, we played, and building the team off the field as well as building it in the ground is helping us to form one team that is fit mentally, spiritually, and physically.
While it is shaping up on the field of play, the need to spruce up baseball facilities in the country has come under the spotlight, posing a threat to the qualification campaign.
Playing with different countries, so we'd also want to match their kind of facility so that when we get these guys in camp, everything else will fall into place. So they won't get to maybe to face the actual ground when they get to go to South Africa, but we wanted to start from here in Zimbabwe here. If we can put a bit of good quality on this ground, it means South Africa and us, it's just the same.
The country only has one functional baseball facility at Kelly Sports Club in the capital, built ahead of the 1995 All Africa Games, but the facility is at risk of being converted into a mainline sport court facility, suffering a similar fate with one that used to be at Alex and Belgravia Sports Clubs in Harare. The infrastructure gap has plagued the sport from reaching its maximum potential, with the leagues across various provinces of the country relying on soccer and rugby fields. Reynold Ngwarati, ZBC News, Harare.
The annual Zimbabwe Teachers College Sports Association Games are set for Bulawayo from the 10th to the 15th of this month.
Held on a rotational basis by teachers' colleges, the annual Zimbabwe Teachers College Games roar into life in Bulawayo, with the United College of Education and Hillside co-hosting the games. The organizing committee has put in place effective preparations to host all the country's teachers' colleges in Bulawayo.
Our preparations for hosting the Zitkosa Games are well underway. We are co-hosting with the United College of Education, that is UCE. So it will be Hillside and UCE hosting these games, co-hosting these games. We are almost there, so to speak. We'll be having our games on the 11th, 12th, 13th and 14th. Athletics will be there on the 11th at NAST, and the rest of the other 3 days will be ball games all over the show. But our preparations are going on very well. As you can see in my background, we'll have volleyball. Soccer will be at Baba Fields B Arena and also at UCE. Here we'll have volleyball, basketball and tennis and also darts. So at UCE we'll have netball, handball, table tennis and some of the other sports codes.
Hillside Teachers College faced stiff competition from Belvedere, a dominant force in the games. Mtogozi Stube, ZBC News, Bulawayo.
And now in our Showbiz update, a number of artists held performances this weekend at various events in and around the capital. Let's get more on that report.
Under the twinkling lights of St. Gerald's Parish in Harare, musician Mbeu wowed the crowd with a soulful steering performance at the Jubilee Year of the Youth Pilgrimage fundraising dinner on Friday night. Mutwara Business Center in Goko North District was a hive of activity this Saturday as Zimbabwe's 3 radio stations staged a roadshow in preparation of the national independence. Still in entertainment, Mary Annabelle gave a befitting performance to the recently appointed International Olympic Committee President, Kirsty Coventry, at a farewell dinner held in Harare this week. In total, band immortalized the late Oliver Mtukudzi through an electric performance of one of his hit songs, Wenge Mambo, at the Legends Nights currently underway at the HICC. Patience Nyagato, ZBC News, Harare.
And with that, we cross over to the Met Department to give us the weather report.
Good evening, viewers. I hope you are having a wonderful weekend. It's time for today's weather report and forecast, and my name is Baba Maketa. Well, we had a cool morning throughout the country, but it, however, later became warm in most areas in the afternoon. And going into tomorrow, that is on Monday, we're expecting particular conditions, especially in the morning over much of the country, but this shouldn't result in much for Monday and Tuesday. But on Wednesday, we should start seeing some activity starting from the western part of the country, crawling slowly into the country, and we are expecting actually some heavier precipitations on Thursday, especially over the southern provinces of the country as well as in the eastern highlands. That is on Thursday up to Friday. Now, taking a look at our temperatures, we're expecting lower temperatures over the central watershed in the range of 14 to 15 degrees Celsius, and we're expecting temperatures from 18 to 23 in the valleys. And in terms of the maximums, again, we're expecting the same trend, lower over the central part of the country, but higher over the northern and southern peripheries of the country. Now, let us take a look at the weather expected for the coming week in our major cities and holiday resort areas. In Bulawayo, we're expecting partly cloudy conditions from Monday up to Wednesday, but from Thursday, we're expecting an increased chance of precipitation, especially on Friday. In Matobo, the same situation is expected. Precipitation expected from Thursday up to Saturday. In Gwanda, again, an increased chance of precipitation from Thursday up to Friday, but the rest of the week should be mostly sunny and mild. In Masvingo, again, Thursday and Friday are expected to be active, but the rest of the week should be mostly sunny and cloudy here and there. In Gweru, again, from Wednesday up to Saturday, we're expecting an increased chance of precipitation, and the rest of the week will be quiet. In Kwekwe, partly cloudy conditions are expected, and Friday and Saturday are expected to be wet. Kadoma, again, wet on Friday and Saturday, but the rest of the week should be mostly sunny. Harare, again, some activity from Friday up to Saturday. Chinoi, the same situation, temperatures going to as high as 30 but lower on the rainy days. In Lupane, again, we're expecting the same situation, raining from Friday up to Saturday. Victoria Falls are hot for the greater part of the week, but should be wet towards the end. In Kariba, again, hot conditions are expected, but wet towards the end of the week. Bindura, the same situation, but partly cloudy conditions from Monday up to Wednesday. In Marondera, again, should be raining from Friday up to Sunday. Nyanga, partly cloudy conditions with an English chance of precipitation on Friday. Now, Zimbabwe, that is all that we had from the weather desk today. Thank you and enjoy the rest of your viewing.
Thank you so much to the Met Department for the weather report and forecast. That brings us to the end of tonight's bulletin. But before we leave, Tari.
Yes, we've got our video of the week titled Gorilla by LMG and Comrade Sibanda as we commemorate Independence Month. Have a good evening.